Hey, there we go. What? How come we can't see anything? Come on, work. Yeah, there we go. It's Steel in the house. Steel showing up today, and my other half played hide and seek with my bow ties, so I don't have mine on today, but that's okay. All right, hello everybody. Lauren, welcome to the live. Who else we got in there? We got more than one in there. How you doing? Did you have a great weekend, everybody? And Steel is here. Yes, it says that in the title. And of,
How
and of
about
course, we're
that?
going to talk about all the firings. That's the first thing everybody's going to want to talk about. Hey, John
Well,
Whitesell, how you doing, buddy? Oilers,
hey, Oilers
man.
man.
Woo!
Lauren, what's up, Lauren? Oh man, look, I thank you all for having me in here, Pearlo. Look, I had to jump on today because man, there is a lot going on in the
Oh, yeah.
NHL. I'm with you, Lauren. I'm with you. Okay. Perlo, listen, thank you very much for all you do here, man. All the great stuff that Perlo does. Thanks everybody for coming in here and watching and subscribing and banging on the Perlo man, because he is the main man, pots and pans when it comes to all things NHL. And we are gonna get into it, man. I can't wait. Let's go,
Oh,
let's
we'll just get right
go.
into it right away. I did a video on it right now, just a little while ago. I wasn't really huge on the AV signing to begin with, or at least I was a little concerned because of what he did in Vancouver. Like, I don't know, it was an odd signing, but I kind of get it because he's the type of person that is supposed to lighten the room a little bit, and things were tight at the time, and there were things that made sense there. But when it comes right down to it, that team doesn't play with pace, and none at all. It looks like that. It looks like they have they got to take like 5 extra seconds before they make a decision, and you just can't do that in the NHL, right?
You know, they Chuck Fletcher basically pushed all chips in at the end of this or the end of last season going into this offseason by making the changes that they did as far as the player changes that they
Mm-hmm.
did. They even brought in Williams, one of AV's guys, to come in as well. They moved Ian LaPerriere out. Um, this the problems with this Philadelphia Flyers team runs way deeper than Elan Vigneault and Michel Therrien. The problems with this team run from the ownership all the way
Mm-hmm.
down. It just stinks all the way
Mm-hmm.
around. Okay? And it has ever since Mr. Snyder passed away. With no successor, with having a corporate owning the team and the corporate only really caring about the bottom line. It shows in all of the events that they've done since then. You know what I'm saying? As far as how they've treated the alumni, how they've, treated season ticket holders, the whole 9 yards. Then the COVID thing, then Chuck Fletcher comes in, then AV gets hired, blah, 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 and everything just gets piled on and piled on and
Right.
piled on. So there's a lot more going on here than just two coaches being fired in Philadelphia.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, what I mean is there's a lot more going on. Those things are probably not going to change. Like I'm with the people that have made the decisions on who's going to be a coach or general manager up until now, they're not going to change. So,
Right.
like I'll go to Edmonton, and I'm not saying that it was the right guy because I still not sure it was, but at the very least, the owner of the Edmonton Oilers, after several general manager choices, finally started to realize, you know what, might want to go to somebody else to make these choices. Maybe I'm not. He humbled himself though, and I think that's what has
Yeah,
to happen here. I think they really need to go bring somebody into the organization that makes those choices for them. They're not the ones to be hiring general man. I was suspicious. The Chuck Fletcher move to me. I was I've said it a million times, and I would have rather I liked Hextall. I would have rather them kept on going that road, and I think what the people you're talking about didn't allow Hextall to really do what he wanted to do, and that's the actual
exactly.
problem, not anything else
Right.
that you know.
See, exactly. He look, Hextall was part of a cup winning organization in the Los Angeles Kings. He was not the general manager, but he watched a general manager build that team through the draft, use the analytics, and create a team that was not only able to win a Stanley Cup, but win multiple Stanley Cups, and then also be relevant for quite a few years. You know what I mean? And they were pretty deep as far as like their farm system was concerned. They had a lot of good, up and coming guys. They had guys that they had drafted. They had, the whole 9 yards. And I was really excited when Ron Hextall was brought in here. I really felt that he turned around the Flyers because of what he was handed. He was handed basically a big giant mess, and his hands were tied from day one. He wasn't really allowed to do anything because he had no cap space, and everybody had no movement clauses on their contracts, so he couldn't trade anybody. You know what I mean? The only problem that I have is the draft picks that he's picked, right? Let's face it, if you look at the prospect pool for the Philadelphia Flyers, their prospect pool is way better with the Chuck Fletcher draftings than any of the Ron Hextall draftings.
Well,
You know what I mean? And
I just had this discussion
that's
though. I mean, he grabbed NHL players with almost every single one of his first round picks.
right.
That being Hextall,
Right.
right?
Okay. So now who has Fletcher picked in the first round?
Oh, Chuck Fletcher now. Okay, well, we don't know yet, but
He traded one away,
right, and Forster, right?
Forster,
I
and
had a
yeah,
guy that I liked there. We'll see how that turns out. LA has him right now, and there was
right.
a guy that our
And now
good buddy didn't like. You had the Lance. Lance wasn't a fan, but that's all right. We have so we'll see. But I didn't like Forster because I just this team's not fast enough, and he's slow.
yeah,
Let's face
yeah.
it, the team's not fast
And
enough, right?
Forster needs that. That's why I think the guys like in the AHL for the Phantoms for the Flyers are faltering because guys like Cam York and those guys are used to much faster teams. You know what I mean? And so, hey man, what do I know, right? I'm just an armchair GM, right?
Yeah.
I'm just a guy that sits back and watch these games. I mean, I feel like I'm getting to your level here, Pearlo. I'm watching divorce level amounts of hockey.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Like I went out and I bought the ticket or the streaming whatever I had to get so I could watch hockey. Right. And I have been watching hockey. I am not kidding, man. I was watching the Seattle game the other night. So that's one of the main reasons why I did it, so I could watch the Seattle games.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more going on here in Philadelphia than just the coaches. I think the core leadership group of the team has been here now for the last couple of years, and all they've done is gotten rid of the coach. Fletcher has tried to get rid of some of the bad blood, I guess you want to call it, or guys that didn't buy in. But now, here's kind of the dilemma. You tried to build a team around Hayes, and Hayes has played what? 2 games, 3
Yeah,
games
that doesn't help.
since the start of the season. That doesn't help. And then all the guys that you brought in for depth, we're way past them guys now because all the rest of them guys are all hurt. You brought Ellis to come in to be the top number 1 D pairing. He's hurt, hasn't played but 4.5
There's
games
more,
or
and there's
5.
more problem. The bigger problem with that is that's the reason why Nashville traded him. He had an injury that they figured that was likely going to continue to come back throughout his career.
And so, for whatever reason, I guess Philadelphia was willing to overlook that and be like, well, okay. See, when I heard of Chuck Fletcher being hired as general manager and then AV and everything like that, I saw a bunch of stuff out on the Twitter world, right? That I've looked at past tweets from people, and a lot of people when he was hired said, because I haven't been on Twitter since I was on Twitter after AV was hired and all that. So, but the world was all like, what are you guys doing? Why are you guys hiring this guy? Why are you guys putting this guy in charge? Do you know what I mean? And why did you fire Hextall? Because he didn't want to put Carter Hart in when the ownership felt they needed him to put butts in the seats? I mean, is that what it basically boils down to?
Carter Hart?
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple other reasons I'm sure why Ron Hextall was let go, but one of the things is that he pushed back on Carter Hart. He didn't want Carter Hart to start.
He pushed back on everything. He had a plan, and that's the way it was going to be, and that's the way it's going to be. And if you don't like it, fire me.
And that's what they did. Sorry, Ron, you're fired.
I didn't like it then, and I wish I was wrong, but I still believe that it was a bad move. And so now what you look at, this is the thing. The same group is going to, and you know what's going to happen now. You know what's going to happen, right? You know.
Oh, do tell, prognosticator.
You know who's going to get hired as coach. No doubt about it.
I don't think that's the right move either.
It's going to be the guy. You know it.
I don't think that's the right move either.
Like I said, I did a video about it, and it could be. It's just what I saw in Arizona was a guy who it's hard to say because he had a team that had really little offense, so he basically played a box type defensive system and tried to block shots as much as possible and let Kemper take the rest. Right? Now, if Philadelphia can't score with the darn right now, I don't know. I have no idea. I have nothing to look back on to say Rick Tocchet can help a team score more. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd have to believe there's a reason why that if they choose that, I hope they have a reason why they believe that Rick Tocchet is able to get a team to score more. But I can't take that from anything I saw in Arizona.
Right.
So at the very least, there'll be a very defensive team and they'll win a lot of 2-1 games, I suppose. You got Carter Hart there. It's not the worst thing in the world. But generally speaking, that type of team makes it to the playoffs and that's it.
Okay. Well, I know we've spent, a little bit of time here talking about this, but that's because it's the latest news. In case you all are just freshly joining us, please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you all very much. But the Philadelphia Flyers today relieved Alain Vigneault and Michel Therrien of their coaching duties for the Philadelphia Flyers. And Michael Yeo is now going to be the interim coach for tonight's game, is what the statement said from Philadelphia.
The good thing about Yeo is, before you go on, is he did put Minnesota on a good run when he took over for the guy who took over for Vancouver. So that's good. Sorry to jump on you there.
No. I'm with you. I'm okay. I was not necessarily I had much higher expectations of this coaching staff. When you look at this coaching staff when they were originally hired, and you see Alain Vigneault, then you see Michel Therrien, and you see Michael Yeo, all of which have, with the exception of Vigneault, all have won Stanley Cups, all have rings, all have that, pedigree, all have that, whatever, right? And so they were put in charge of each particular area, and these are Stanley Cup winning head coaches. One of them was an assistant. Yeo was an assistant during the time, but Michel Therrien was Stanley Cup winning coach for Pittsburgh Penguins. He knows what it's like to win a cup, and the fact that the power play utterly just took a big dumper since he was brought on board, like, and it never improved. It was bad when he got there, and it just never improved. It just got worse.
I didn't know what they were thinking the power play would be good because of Michel Therrien. Therrien's never been known for his power play. He's a very defensive coach. I didn't like penalty kill, yeah, but power play, maybe because he played, he coached with Yager, and I believe Yager was there. And maybe, they figured, well, he's going to pick up what they did there. But how much coaching did you have to do with those power plays back in those days? Like, geez, that.
Yeah, I don't think Therrien was there for the beginning of the Malkin and the Crosby and the Fleury era. Right. Okay. So, but that's the other thing too. That's kind of blows me away a little bit. Like here's the other thing too. You never changed the power play. You just put the same guys out there, and you expected different things to happen. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, Ivan Provorov is not a quarterback for the power play and should not be on the power play. Yet he is the focal point for the number one power play unit. Everything revolves around him. He's the one that brings the puck up. He's the one that starts off the thing. Blah, 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 blah. Number 2, get rid of the dump and chase. You do not have a fast enough team to beat the other team to the puck if you dump it in. Your best bet is to skate the puck in, stop, get set up, then start doing those kinds of things. Because your team is not fast enough or strong enough to get to the puck if you dump it in. Opposition teams are faster, stronger, get to the puck better, faster, quicker, and next thing you know, puck's going back the other way.
Yeah. See, I think the reason why they dump it in a lot, and this is what I've been saying before, is they're not reacting fast enough. They're not playing with pace, meaning not necessarily speed, skate-wise.
Yeah, there you go.
They're not making decisions fast enough. So by the time somebody gets the puck in the neutral zone, they got people on them all the time. They have no choice but to dump it in because there's somebody on them right already because they took too long to make the decision to begin with. And so they end up having to dump it in. And like you said, they don't have a team built for dump and chase. And that's not a good cocktail, right? Calgary was when Sutter took over for Calgary. It's like they're mirror teams, almost the same. When Sutter took over for Calgary, Calgary was just like that. They took forever to make plays and stuff like that. And now watch them. Basically, what Sutter did when he came in is say, for now, I don't care if you make a mistake. The only mistake you're going to make is you have the puck on your stick too long.
Yeah.
I don't care if you make a mistake. You cough it up, whatever. I don't care. We'll work with that after. But first, that stick is on your blade. You get it off. Start working your instincts immediately right now. And then we'll worry about whether you're coughing it up or whatever you're doing or like that.
I mean, because all the rest of that stuff will come.
Yeah.
Hey, CL's in the house. Yeah. The reason why I have to say this is because CL, I agree with you 100%. when Braun is the center of your defense,
not a good thing.
Not just 1 year, but 2 years.
Yeah, not a good thing.
Okay, not a good thing.
Yeah.
Look, I ate a lot of crow because Braun actually started to play pretty well at the beginning of this
Right.
season. Yeah. And but I'm not necessarily walking back my crow eating,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of doing a little bit of a see. I kind of told
Well,
you.
it wasn't likely he was going to be able to maintain that level of play.
Okay, right. So Lance has written articles about it. We've done it on the Hockey Writers Inc. show. I'm sure you've talked about it. Everybody's talked about it till they're blue in the face. All right, when's going to be that magical day when Braun's stuff just drops off the side, off the cliff?
Right.
You know, let's hope we don't get to that day. But guess what? We're going to find out here real soon. So you're leaning on the weakest link of the team.
Yeah.
For the most support that you can possibly have, which is defense. Okay, you should be leaning on Ivan Provorov for that, to be that mainstay, and then Ryan Ellis to be that mainstay. Because I think Ellis is more the 1A and Provorov is the 1B. Okay, and I really think Sanheim needs to hit the road.
Well, there's the other problem. When we go further than that, deeper than that. Unfortunately,
exactly.
I wish I wasn't accurate with Ristolainen, but you saw it. The guy doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what he's doing out there at all. Yeah, he hits people when he hits people, but he's out of position most of the time. He talk about taking too long to make a decision. I mean, he's got. There's so much work that kid needs. That I didn't like giving up that much for a guy like that. Like for what they wanted to do. If you were doing something and you wanted to be good 3-4 years from now, okay. But to want to be good now and get a guy like Ristolainen, you mentioned Sanheim. Sanheim is pretty vanilla. I mean, he could be helpful somewhere, but we need way more than
not in Philadelphia.
We need way more than what Sanheim is in Philadelphia.
He's a minus player. He doesn't hit anybody. What?
Yeah.
I'm okay. What? I can get guys that are hungrier that are going to at least hit somebody and play defense first instead of that guy that are going to come cheaper.
Denny Barlow brought up a good point. It depends on how you dump, right? Like you have to dump in places where you know you're going to get the puck, right? This was the same thing that was happening in Calgary again, and it's happening in Philadelphia too, is when they do dump, they dump it in places where they're just basically giving up the puck. They're not going to be able to get the puck back.
They're not putting it in places like for success.
Yeah, that you can dump it way. You see teams all the time when there's going to be a change, they'll dump it way on the outside because the guys coming off the change are fresh legs and they can beat it to the left-hand side towards the
exactly. And it's farther away for the opposition because they have the long change.
That's a very simple thing. And I can watch, if you watch Philadelphia games, you don't see them do it very often. Now, I don't know if that's a coach not telling them or if they're just not doing it or whatever. To me, there's so many things wrong with that team. Not playing with pace usually means lack of confidence. Lack of confidence usually, ends up like Sanheim could be very good for all I know, but the whole team is lacks so much confidence. Yeah. It's pretty difficult to make a judge of individual players, but
that's true.
It's really a disaster. But now I will say this. Now we talked about all this crap. Mike Yeo could be something for that. He is a very high pressure, fast paced, let's go type coach. Okay.
Who Yeo is?
Not Dean Evison like, but I mean he's not to that level. But he will get these guys skating and moving fast. No doubt about that. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, I don't know if he's the ideal candidate. Obviously, they don't know either, or they wouldn't call him the intern.
As far as I saw, they're just calling him the interim coach for tonight's game against Colorado, is what I saw.
Oh, really?
That's what the release statement was. Right. They did not say, they just said that Yeo will be the interim coach for the game against the Colorado Avalanche December 6th. Okay,
Okay.
so that's what the statement said from the team.
Okay. So maybe
So
they have somebody else.
okay,
I wouldn't doubt that they go to the guy that just they do it again. To go to the guy they just got from Vancouver. But no, I don't think so. I think they got
all
Talkett's the
right.
guy. Talkett is the guy. You know it as
So
well as I do. Talkett is the guy. Tortorella should be
I
the
just
guy,
don't.
I think, personally. If you want to take a guy that can do anything with the team, I would say Tortorella. I don't. It'd be interesting to see what Atkinson would have to say about that, but
I don't think that's going to come to
no,
fruition,
it's not. It's not.
but
Rick Talkett's the guy. There's no
I
way about
really,
it.
I really hope it's not Tocchet
But
either.
I'm almost positive it is. Because it looked, there's a reason why, like Rick Tocchet went to some interviews and they were pretty lukewarm interviews from what I understand. And that, not,
Yeah, didn't he interview? He interviewed for the Seattle job,
yeah,
right?
but from what I understand, I think like just reading some of the stuff I do, he wants to coach in Philly. That's his dream and that's what he wants to do. And he probably had this idea that AV, if things don't go well there, the opportunity might be there. He's already getting a contract from Arizona, so he can just hold out at least for this year and see what happens. And that's what I think happened, and I think that's what will happen.
He's been through all of Rick Tocchet has been through all of they did the Hall of Fame induction for him a couple weeks
Yeah,
ago for him and Paul Holmgren and all that and stuff. So, but
yeah,
I am just not a fan of his style of hockey, and I'm just, look, I don't have the answer to who I think would be the ideal coach. Honestly, I think you need a coach who has a little bit of Peter Laviolette, has a little bit of Tortorella, has a little bit of Torts, and has a little bit of Brodeur or Brindamore,
I take a lot of
right?
Brindamore.
Okay, but no. But I mean, you need a coach that kind of has all that kind of stuff mixed around because every one of these coaches are individually good in their own rights for those teams that they're on or whatever the case is. You know what I mean? And I just don't. I can't put Tocchet in that. He's got a less than stellar winning percentage over the games that he has coached at .458. That's hard to swallow to come in as a head coach thinking he's going to turn it around.
Well, he had some really bad teams there in Arizona, but
okay, but he's had some really good teams in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, he coached for a short time there, right?
And was fired.
Yeah, I think because he's overly defensive, and that's what I see from Rick Tocchet. It's just going to be. I don't think he has that. I don't think he has that that ability to bring out an offense in a team. I haven't seen it anyways. Rick Tocchet.
That's what I mean, and that's the other thing
simple.
too.
That's how he played. Third line guy, third line thinking type coach, stuff like that. He'd have to prove me otherwise, but I haven't seen anything of it so far. So, anyways, we'll get to the Vancouver Vancouver stuff here right away. That to me is pretty interesting as well.
I know.
But Makar, to make things now, Yo's going to come in. By the way, Yo also did the same thing in St. Louis. He took over for Hitchcock. St. Louis went on a good run right away. He doesn't seem to be able to keep it going, though. He's a kind of guy that can get everybody going in one direction for a while, and then they burn out, and he doesn't know what to do. But right now, we'd be happy with that first. Just let's get that going.
Yeah. I mean,
but anyways, yeah, right. What was I going to say? Oh, Kadri and Makar are back in the lineup for Columbus tonight, too. For Colorado, I mean. And the good thing about it is they have a 22-year-old kid in goal. So if Philadelphia can find a way to get shots on net, they might have a chance. But that's going to be a tough go against turning things around against
Yeah,
Colorado with McCarr, McKinnon, Rantanen. Oh man, and Jones in net. Yeah,
not a
and
good,
Jones in net.
not necessarily a good game to hook into as a brand new interim coach of the Philadelphia Flyers with a team that is completely and utterly underperforming this year. The, I, I'm a strong believer in putting your players in positions to be successful. And that stops from the top down, meaning ownership has to give you players to put in those positions. And in Philadelphia, they've only got Giroux.
Well, at the moment, that's the
They
thing.
never.
They have guys that are underperforming right now for sure.
Okay, so but they've since Giroux has been there, who else have they had since they've gotten Giroux?
Couturier.
They had Mike Richards and Jeff Carter, and then they were shipped out, and Giroux was the main man, and he's been the main man, and then Voracek was brought in, and let's face it, they've only had a one punch
Couturier.
in
Couturier.
Giroux,
Couturier is the number one center. He's just
but he's a Selke,
yeah.
so he's more of a
Well,
defensive
he's a
guy.
point of game Selke player. He's like a
Uh,
Bergeron.
I'm okay, I got you, but let's face it, you roll into Philadelphia and you look up at the banner, the 200-foot banners that are hanging from the rafters or from the side of the building at the Wells Fargo Center, and all you see up there is G. That's all you see, right? Well, you go to some other teams like Pittsburgh, right across the state, they got 2 or 3 guys on banners outside because they got Malkin, Crosby, and whoever else they want to throw
oh
up
yeah,
there,
yeah, for
right?
sure. Oh,
Kasparaitis
Pittsburgh
or.
has had the most talent of any team of the last 20 years for
But
sure.
look at all of the top contending teams, all have a 1-2 punch up front,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and have at least a household name defenseman
Yeah,
and good
Philadelphia
goaltending.
spends way too much money on filler players, and that's what Hayes was. Hayes is a filler player. They spent $7 million on a filler player, on a
And now they built an entire team
based on that.
of filler player
Well,
guys that all played with Hayes, and Hayes hasn't played but 2.5, 3 games since the start of
because
the
they weren't
season.
willing to build the way you're supposed to build, and that's they're too impatient. They're too impatient. I don't know what they're impatient for. The building's going to be full. It's not like Flyers fans don't show up. Yeah, they boo, but
Let me tell you something.
well, actually, it's not just because that must be sponsors. They must have sponsors there or something that I don't know what it is, but they get
Okay,
so impatient. It's
I am.
unreal.
Yeah, look, I'm going to tell you something. Okay, I am seeing more and more people throwing up their hands in disgust as they are completely and utterly giving up on a team that they have been following for 20 some years.
Yeah.
Haven't watched a game, can't even tell you who the players are on the team anymore for the last 2 years because of what's been going on with this team. Now, I don't know about you, but those are not good words to hear from your fan base. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't want to hear that kind of stuff from your fan base. You don't want to hear the fact that the organization didn't do a good job on the Hall of Fame situation because they did it in front of an empty stadium. They didn't do it before the games like they normally do. They did it like 2 hours before the game. There was nobody in the stands.
Okay.
Right? Like, what? Who does that? Why would you do that? That's stupid. You would want, all the fans to get to enjoy these guys getting their name hung on the rafter, blah, blah, blah. What? Nope. They had nobody in the stands.
Yeah.
And they did it to an empty crowd or an empty arena.
See,
right?
yeah, I think that Philadelphia's mistake is they're tweeners. They want to win.
Yeah.
They want to be risky and win now, but they're not willing to take the risk at the same time. You just can't do both. If you want to do it right, you got to do what Vegas did. We should have been all over Eichel, all over that.
I mean
We should have
something.
been all over Eichel. Why not?
Exactly.
Oh, you don't want to. I don't know about his neck. Well, the doctors are saying his neck is fine. We have no choice because this team isn't going to win a cup. Period. That team is not winning a cup. No way. And you know what? I love Calgary. They're not winning a cup either. They're not likely, anyways. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll see if they got a coach that gives this team pace. But on paper, this team ain't winning a cup. You need, like you said, okay, Couturier is the number one center, but you need a superstar. If you're going to have a chance with this team, you got to get a superstar in there. And what would it have taken to get Phil? Like, look what Vegas gave up. You telling me we couldn't have beat that?
And we did give up a first-round draft pick for a win-now guy in Ristolainen.
That was a bad move. So bad.
So not only, so let me see if I get this straight now. So the firing comes from Chuck Fletcher to AV?
Yeah, I guess. The one that hired him, right?
Yeah. Okay. So when is the block going to be called for Chuck?
For what?
For Chuck.
Oh, I mean, as it stands right now, it could be one of the shortest general managers besides Fenton in Minnesota, what happened there. But this could, yeah. And I don't know where you go from there. Either, what are you going to do now? Like, this is the thing, is this ownership group can't just let somebody do their job. If they would have just and now you made this decision, you're gonna have to lie in it, man. You're gonna have to let Chuck do whatever he's gonna do and go for it the way he's gonna go. I think they have no choice. If they were really gonna do this, believe it or not, it would have been funny if they would have did that. A guy that can do what Chuck is trying to do better than anybody was Rutherford. Yeah. Rutherford could do it. Rutherford could take a team quickly, no matter what they have, and he just seems to know what players and positions and things that they really need. And like he did it in Carolina, he did it in Pittsburgh. That's the guy you want. Chuck Fletcher, what did he prove in Minnesota? Nothing. He proved that, look, they just had to buy out two of his biggest contracts and shackle themselves for 4 years. So I would take
and it's not until
I would take Rutherford over, if you're going to do this, Lauren, I would take Rutherford over Chuck Fletcher to do it. Yeah, Rutherford's going to leave you nothing. No doubt about it. You're not going to have any firsts left or anything like that. Forget about that. But if you're talking about winning now, we already traded our first for a guy that isn't going to be ready for 3-4 years to win now. I don't get it.
No, I see, and that's going to be the hard thing now, because no matter what you do in Philadelphia, you're going to stink for the next couple of years. You might as well just accept that fact. Okay? And that's a real shame, because you just signed Couturier to a long-term deal, right? But you didn't build around him. You signed him to a long-term deal, but you didn't, build around him. You build around Hayes, right? I don't understand that. You got a coach who puts the wrong guy in defense on power plays, and doesn't have the guy who's supposed to be standing in front of the net on the power play not standing in front of the net, right? I don't know. I don't know.
All I know is if Yo can get these guys making decisions faster, just that alone will make this team a lot better. That's really what, first with that, and then maybe we can see there's probably some surprise players we're not even sure of. The Frost has looked pretty good since he's come up. There are some things that Yeah,
Eh,
he's been okay. He's been okay. He looks.
eh.
He's never going to be like a top player, but
Right. See, thank you. Thank you. Look, he doesn't necessarily, I wouldn't say he looks lost out there, but he just doesn't look like he belongs.
yeah. I know one thing that for
Okay.
sure. There's no way you're giving Risto a ELC at the end of this contract. If they do that, uh, they're screwed.
If they what, give him a long-term contract
Well,
after the end of
they
this?
have to give him a qualifying offer, and he's making like 6 million now or something like that, and the qualifying offer is 7 million, and that would give him like 1 year. They could do it for 1 year, I suppose, but no, you let him go. You let him become a free agent, and you find another player, find another couple players. No way do you sign him.
Yeah, because that's $7 million or whatever $1 million you don't have to spend on him. I mean, so I would like to see how Ristolainen works out. I honestly feel it's been a system and a coaching thing for him. I think he has the tools. I just don't think he's been able to quite put it
Like, he's
together
not going to
yet.
put it together this year
And
or next year. The guy is so far behind in understanding and hockey sense. It's not going to happen.
okay, I mean, I would like to see. I'm okay with seeing it for another year just to see what happens. If that's not the case, I don't have a problem with it if he goes away either. You know what I mean? I don't
Okay,
care. It's no skin off my nose.
yeah, I was 7 million. I think I can put that in a better spot. Uh,
Yeah, I agree. Like a better,
yeah, the optics
scorer.
are going to be horrible because you gave up a first and everything for him. We were talking about this when they got it. I talked to a bunch of Philadelphia fans. They said, well,
Oh
and I
yeah,
was like, dude, man, you don't understand how far
yeah.
behind this kid is. It's unbelievable. It's not going to happen in 1 year. There's no way. And it's not. It's not.
And it's sad too because the stop in Buffalo really hurt him. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
think because if he would have came into like just to say if Philadelphia would have drafted him and he would have came up through the system, I think he would be a much better
I
player.
do. I agree. I'm a little. I'm not. I don't think Philadelphia's up in the upper echelon but it's much better than Buffalo. Buffalo. Look what they did to Darlene, Middlestat. I mean, every single
Right.
player that they drafted underperformed. Every single one. Like that is
I know.
brutal. Um,
I know.
okay, let's get into some Vancouver because we've talked to Philadelphia a lot. So Vancouver.
Can't understand why. Why would we talk about?
Yeah,
I don't
because
know. I
we're
don't
Philly
know.
fans, right? Uh
I was surprised about this, to be honest with you. I saw the whole Vigneault thing coming, but I wasn't really expecting the Vancouver thing.
oh, I was overdue. I don't I don't know why it took so long. Benning for one, like if I'm a hockey guy and I hire Benning and he goes and gets Myers and I watch Myers for a year at $6 million a year, and I go to my analytics guy, and can you say, does my eye test, does this make, and he goes, oh yeah, this is totally analytics too. Your eye test is exactly right. I'm firing him right there. Like, how do you not know that this guy,
Yeah.
Buffalo knew, Winnipeg learned real quick, and you
Yeah.
just said, okay, he's big, he's big and he can skate, so we're going to give him $6 million a year. The guy cannot play defense to save his life. He's terrible.
Tell us how you
Oh,
really
he's
feel,
terrible.
Pearlo.
He's
Huh?
terrible.
No, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
So you're going to give him $6 million a year when you desperately need defense on that roster. You have Hughes. You got a whole bunch of guys that are not defensively, no, are not very good defensively either. What do you expect?
Right.
How do you? It was and then a whole bunch of third line signings, the Erickson signing. I don't know how this guy lasted as long as he did. And apparently, there was talk. Holtby and a few other guys. Holtby, I don't take too much because he seems to complain a lot, anyways. But there was a lot of mumbling about how management really treats the players brutal right there. And did you ever see Benning smile?
No. He just never looked happy, did he?
No. The guy looked like he was bitter every freaking moment.
You know, like, you know what? He reminded me of Bill Belichick. Every time Bill Belichick comes up to the microphone, like he's got this, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, don't talk to me, look.
Yeah.
Right? If you make me say something, I'm going to be mad.
Yeah. Well, he hates the media.
Because I'm already
he hates
mad.
The media, right?
Well,
yeah,
you know.
So does Benning, but I mean, to me, I got the impression that he was always like that. And that's just terrible for the energy of a team to see a guy who's always walking around with a scowl on his face everywhere he freaking goes. But I suppose that maybe he's just looking at his own contracts every morning when he wakes up. That should put a scowl on your face pretty good. Oh my gosh. So yeah,
well, maybe I don't know. Maybe he's going to have a scowl on his face now because now he's going to have to do it in the mirror now, and he's going to be the only one looking back at it.
Yeah. Oh.
Right, because he's gone now. So
yeah. And then Green, I don't think I would give Green a shot if I was out there and needing a coach somewhere down the road. I think Green's a great coach, but there's not much you can do with that roster. I mean, he deserves another chance. AV probably won't get another one, but Green will get one down the road. He'll land on his feet somewhere down the road here. I don't think he's a bad coach. It's hard to tell if he's a bad coach.
Vigneault is 60.
Defense, yeah.
Vigneault is 60, right. And how old is Green?
He's young yet, so he's definitely going to land on his feet.
That's what I mean. So yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. I mean, I was actually surprised that Boudreau was hired.
I get it in the sense that Boudreau, because the energy needs to change in that team, and Boudreau is a fun, happy, hilarious guy, super funny guy. So, and he's a player-friendly guy, and he's a high-paced coach. Like, he doesn't play traps.
Has that system.
He doesn't play traps.
Yeah.
So it could work out well. I mean, he's got just. Do you know he's only got 17 more games, and he's coached 1,000 in the NHL.
Well, looks like he might get the chance to do that.
Yeah, he should. I don't think he's going to get fired within 17 games.
Hey, man, stranger things have happened, right?
17, I suppose.
Yeah, right. If they lose the next 17 games, he might get fired.
Next 16.
Yeah, next 16 games, whatever.
I think he'll be all right. He gets a bad rap because he hasn't had playoff success, right? That was the biggest thing with him, is he didn't have playoff success. But Vancouver, at this point, they can worry about that later.
Possibly can with the Washington Capitals with. Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, how about if you just win some games? Let's just try to do that. See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
See, I think there's really good coaches out there that are good all-around coaches, and then I think there's coaches that are good coaches during the regular season and then can't seem to put it together during the off season or during the playoffs if they make it.
Their history would show that anyways,
so like I said, you need to find that coach that has a sprinkling of everybody else. That guy that just, is good with the players but holds them accountable. That guy who is good with the media yet protects his players. A guy that, has a pretty good system, plays maybe more of a, I don't know, maybe a 1-3-2 maybe. I like the forechecking. I think Philadelphia could continue or like to see them try the 1-3. You know what I mean? To see if they could do that with more of the forechecking. That way that would allow them to get the puck into the offensive zone.
Yeah.
I think a little better than the dump and chase. I mean, at this point, you got to try just about anything, right?
Yeah. No, Philadelphia, like the difference between Philadelphia and Vancouver. Vancouver, actually, especially lately, they've been playing with a lot of heart. They just haven't been getting puck a lot. And And for some reason, Green couldn't get Pedersen out of his doldrums or whatever the case may be, and that's on the coach on that because that's his job. That's one of his jobs, right? So Pedersen's a young guy, though. I'm sure he learned. Green's a young guy, and I'm sure he learned from it, and I think he'll be fine. But Philadelphia, and they move the puck all right. They just make a lot of mistakes while they're doing it, and they never stopped. And then they're very small up front. They get in and grind it out, but their grinders are too small. So it was a poorly built team. Where Philadelphia, at this point, their foot speed isn't very good. But the main thing with Philadelphia is until they're making plays at a much faster pace, it's really hard to say what they can play and what they can do. Because if you're not passing the puck fast enough, it doesn't matter what system you play, you're not going anywhere. You can be a 1-1-3, you can be whatever it is, but if you if you're taking too long to make plays and you're overthinking things, it doesn't matter what system. So the first thing they have to do, and that's what I liked about what Sutter said. He didn't say he did this, but you could tell he did this. Is basically just get the puck off your stick, and we'll worry about systems later. First of all, just learn how to
play hockey.
Get your puck off the stick. Stop thinking. Don't worry about thinking. No use giving X and O's if the puck's not coming off the stick quick enough, because if you have an X here and an X here, that X is gone. There's nothing to pass to if you're taking, like instead of that long, you're taking that long. That's what hockey's all about. It's snap, 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 snap. And if you're not doing it at that speed in the NHL, you're done. I don't care who you got, what your roster looks like or anything like that. You're done. So,
it's funny that you mentioned that too, because when you look at the games and you look at guys specifically, Justin Braun, Sanheim, most of the rest of the Philadelphia defense takes that forever long to make the decision for that outlet
especially
pass.
on defense.
Right. Yeah. And so what opposition teams are doing now is they're putting guys up there at the blue line in those passing lanes, and that's exactly what's happening. And they're able to get those interceptions and those turnovers and go right in point blank on the goaltender with very little defense back there.
Well, yeah, they have the time to get in those passing lanes like crazy, right? Like just a little anticipation. Like a team like Minnesota right now, Philadelphia would be done before the game even got started. Like they're some of the best.
You mean like the game against Tampa Bay the other night?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God!
That's why I think Colorado will probably win tonight. I don't think Yo's going to change that in one game.
Man, dude,
because Colorado, Vegas, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, their anticipation is through the roof. Like they know they play as a team and team anticipation through the roof. If Philadelphia comes up against any of them, the chances of them winning are slim and none. Yeah.
I'm so with you on that because they don't have the team speed. They don't have individual speed. The guys that are speedy are too small, and the guys that aren't speedy are too old and slow. I mean, it's a very horrible combination mix that's going on in Philadelphia, and there's really no like exact blueprint to get out of it.
I'm going to do a video on it right away. I got a few ideas, but I'm going to put it in a video.
I mean, other than, I think CL mentioned a match. That would work. Just gut the team and get rid of everybody. Yep, I'm for that.
Well, yeah.
Unfortunately, they can't do that
now, but I mean, if you ever had to do it, it would be like probably 7 years before Philadelphia's going to get any more. Yeah, you'd have to trade Carter Hart. Be no use keeping him whatsoever. So that would be. And
Giroux, you'd probably have to trade Giroux.
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
You know what? You'd have to probably.
Somebody has to go in there and tell Giroux he's got to go. Just stop it already. No matter what they do, Giroux's got to go because
I think
because
no. Hold on. I think with the fact that he didn't continue the negotiations this off season, he's like, now let's wait till the
yeah, because
end.
he wants to see where this team's at, and then he's going to make a choice to go. He's got to go. That $8 million's got to go towards a much better player. But I want to talk about what these guys are talking about here too. I wanted to bring it up because it was the game of the week, and the Minnesota Toronto game. Did you watch that game?
Oh yes. Yes, I did. Yeah,
That was
buddy.
that was
Oh
killer,
boy.
killer game. Just what we expected.
Oh man.
So we
I had that pegged as my game of the
yeah,
week
absolutely.
on the Off the Wall Hockey
Mm-hmm.
Show, right? And I like dropped everything to watch that game. I was there front and center watching that game with my stuff plugged in. I was ready to go, man. I was ready to go.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
So
yeah. Was it? I was going. I didn't. I was going in between games, but I did watch that game more than anything, more than any of the other games, and it was basically just what I thought it would be. It was a toss-up game. It was good. I should have said tie on that game right off the get-go.
right.
Those are two teams that are trending in a very good direction.
Yes.
What was it? It was shootout, right? Did it go to a shootout? Yeah, shootout.
Yes.
So I mean,
Yes.
that doesn't
Shootout. Yep.
like. I talk to Minnesota fans and they say like, well, that was Denny Barlow is a big Minnesota fan. So was Swerve, and it was a statement game. Well, what was the statement? The statement is they're both equal. They're both if you won in a shootout, that's a toss up. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. They're very even teams, no doubt about it. The one thing I will say, and the reason why they're very even teams, but for different reasons. Toronto has more talent. Minnesota plays better as a team. They have more depth. They play better as a team. Like they
All day
play
long.
like the Harlem Globetrotters out there, man. Their passing is an offensive uh, possession is second to none in the league. Vegas and Minnesota, I would say, are the two best
Top possession teams.
offensive possession teams in the league. And from
Yeah,
line
I
to
would agree with
line to
that.
line. That's why I've said Dean
Yeah.
Evison is, to me, the best coach in the league right now.
Look, you're not going to get any arguments from me. In fact, that's who I'm picking, Dean Evison, to be my Jack Adams for this year. Because look at how well Minnesota has been playing. Okay, both as like you said before, both of these teams are headed in the right direction, which is trending upward. You know what I mean?
Toronto, man,
So
they have a love for each other like I haven't seen a team have in a very long time. I love that team. That part of their energy is insane. It's incredible.
yeah,
They really, really,
but
truly are playing for each other. That team right now. That's my early, let's say dark horse, I guess. But I was off Toronto in the regular before the season started. Now I'm all over them. I think Toronto could win the cup this year.
they do seem to have. And you know what I think it really is attributed to is Jack Campbell. I mean, they finally got some goaltending up there, right? Some good, consistent goaltending.
Oh yeah, Jack Campbell has been fantastic, and apparently he's been like the leader about in how this group has come together too. Jack Campbell's gone through a lot of stuff, man. He had some. He had to get over a lot mentally to get to where he is, and he loves this organization. He absolutely loves them. they grabbed him from LA, and he so appreciated their confidence in him that like there's nobody in that room that loves Toronto Maple Leafs more than Jack Campbell, and that energy goes everywhere. The Leafs, the Winnipeg game after that, they wanted to talk about. Yeah, it was a tough game for anybody after that big wild game, and you got a back to back. You got to go to
Yeah, right.
holy
Whoa,
crap
Nelly.
from Minnesota to Winnipeg isn't that long of a trek, but that was one freaking crazy game. They put everything. Both teams put everything into that game, so it was pretty hard for Winnipeg to be able to beat Winnipeg after that. But so not really. And they came back and gave it a go anyways. That Toronto team. When's the last time you saw a Toronto team that doesn't give up?
I have to go back a ways. I have to reach into the memory banks.
When Gilmore was playing.
Yeah, that's a good way. Was Potvin the goalie
then?
Yeah,
guys like Cujo, Potvin back. They had Clark, Gilmore, guys like that. That's.
Oh yeah, Gilmore.
They haven't had that since then. So.
No, they haven't. You know what I mean? So, I was, like I said, the Winnipeg situation, I think you're right. I think Bruce Boudreau is going to be a good thing for Winnipeg, at least for now. At least get them more in a winning frame of mind than anything.
Vancouver, you mean? Yeah.
Or for Vancouver, I'm sorry. I'm not as confident about anything that's happening in Philadelphia. And in fact, quite frankly, I don't expect Philadelphia to be much of anything other than big-time sellers.
I think they have to right now. Sellers and replace. So that's about the best I think they could do right now.
Exactly.
Which is tough to
what I mean?
Because in free agency, it just gets more expensive every year.
And look at what you did this past off season. You know, you quote unquote changed the culture in the locker room, but you didn't improve the team on the ice. Yeah, you might have improved the culture in the locker room, but you didn't necessarily improve the team on the ice.
Like I said, it's all about pace. We're just talking about Minnesota. Just watch those guys. How long does that puck stay on their stick for? Like no time. They are moved that puck so fast. It's freaking crazy. And you got a great coach there.
All the good teams
that has allowed them to be creative and trust them. Because there isn't a team out there, I don't think there's one coach out there that would let their team do all the things that Minnesota does. They take risks all over the ice. They make passes over two people's sticks. They do little back passes all over the bloody place. They must practice that every single day to know where everybody's going to be on the ice at all the time. So it basically is like clockwork. Like it is. I haven't seen that from a team since the Pittsburgh-Edmonton days. Pittsburgh Penguins, Edmonton Oilers. And they had way more talent. But I can't think of a team that plays like that since then. It's just off the top of my head. But, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but Denny Barlow is right there without their best offensive defenseman in Spurgeon while they're doing all of this. Look at
exactly.
Hartman. We had Hartman, Philadelphia, right?
Yeah, for from the trade deadline on.
Yeah, and he was in Nashville, and now look at him in Minnesota. He's a second line center, power center, that is putting up points like crazy. He's got a weird looking shot that he gets off, playing with confidence coming out of his yin yang. Is that because why? Dean Evison, man, greatest coach in the league.
Yeah, man. Coach in the league. You won't have any arguments from me on that one.
I don't know if he's going to get it this year, the Vezina this year, or the Adams this year, because.
Well, I hope he does.
Just thinking of what.
It depends on how Minnesota does. If Minnesota is able to continue, look, they're leading right now. okay, by a couple points in their division. So if they can continue to keep on keeping on,
But the thing is oddly people still, because Dean Evison already had them last year, they kind of expected Minnesota. They're saying Minnesota's great. I have this discussion with Barlow all the time here. We get a little bit disagreement. I honestly don't think Minnesota is that much better than Philadelphia, man for man. But system-wise, Minnesota blows Philadelphia right out of the water. Absolutely blows them out of the water. In fact, blows most teams out of the water. They're not better than Tampa Bay, man for man, but I wouldn't doubt the Wild beat Tampa Bay in a 7-game series. They're not better than Carolina, man for man, but I'd give them a good shot. You know.
I mean, they weren't necessarily better man for man against Vegas, and look what they did against Vegas.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they're not better man for man than those teams. But
I like Minnesota. I like what they're doing up there. I like everything that they've put out on the ice so far. I've really enjoyed watching those games.
Love it. Yeah.
Okay. So would I like to see them continue on? You bet. You know what I mean? Is it possible for them to continue on? That's going to remain to be seen.
They will.
Okay.
They keep on playing. They're going to keep on playing like that. I see no reason.
As long as everybody can stay healthy and, everything remains, then yeah, I see Minnesota doing really good things this year. And I see Dean Evison being up for the Jack Adams Award this year. I don't foresee why he wouldn't be.
Well, I think he'd be up for it. But the issue you got I'm just trying to think here. First of all, you got to have, and I talked about it before, Sullivan got to get one here eventually for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like they keep on winning with basically skeleton rosters. Everybody's injured over and over and over again. And Sutter. What Sutter's done in Calgary I mean, that team looked like it was all the way out, right? And all of a sudden they're the best, one of the best teams, if not the best in the Pacific. I still say Vegas is the best, but
no, but I can see where you're going with that. I can definitely see where you're going with that, and I would have to agree. Although let me put it to you like this: if Carolina just goes and wins the President's Trophy, wouldn't you have to give it back to Roddy?
Probably won't. I mean, any year he's one of those. He's like Barry Trotz, or any year you could give him it, and you would be probably pretty close to accurate. Like it's just any year, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, but they completely turned out their goaltending room, right? In Carolina. They got rid of Dougie Hamilton, right? Their best defenseman, quote unquote. Right? So they had a huge major turnaround in Carolina. And yet, here they are. They open up the gates. They take the first 12 games and only lose like what? 1 or 2 in regulation, if that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know about you, man, but with what's all changed in Carolina and the fact that they are still just kicking butt, I'd have to put Ron in there too.
He's probably going to be on the ballot every year, but I think they gave it to him last year because they know that Carolina is going to be so good for the next couple of years that because it won't be attributed to his coaching anymore. Like he had to get one. The guy's an absolute genius coach. Like he had to get one at least somewhere down the road here, right? And with the Jack Adams Award, I think I could be wrong, but by the way, Hamilton was never their best defenseman. That's always Slavin, always will be Slavin, no doubt about it.
I said quotes.
Yeah, some people say that. But yeah, no.
I said quotes.
Whoever says that is wrong.
No, but I get
Yeah.
you. I agree. Slavin, I think much better.
Perception. Sometimes they have Hamilton, but Slavin,
Which is why Slavin is there and Hamilton is
Slavin is
gone.
every bit is almost as good as Hedman. You could even make a case equal to, uh, but yeah, he's always going to be there, right? So they gave it to him early because that team's only going to get better. Carolina, they're young. Like Aho's still young, Svechnikov is still young. Like this team's just going to get better and better and better. And the better they get,
I'm here to
then
tell
you got a
you.
guy like then you got what happens to Cooper, and your team is too good that you ever win the Adams. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
And I
right.
was going to say though about the Adams, is the coaches themselves don't want one guy to get the Adams every year. That's the reason why they don't do that, because they
I know.
want as a a union that's not a union. They don't have a coaches union, I don't think.
No, I
That
know.
they want
I
the
know.
recognition to be passed around. So guys, that's
I'm with you, and I'm with you, but all in all, though, some major changes. Look, I'm gonna also have to go with Denny too. I really like Krill. What he's been doing this year has been
yeah. They haven't
fantastic. That's
talked
why.
there about whether he's a
That's why. Yeah, that's
superstar or
why I
not.
think Minnesota has been playing so well too. So, um, here's the thing, though. We're starting to see teams now separate themselves. You're starting to see teams break away a little bit. You know what I mean? And you're starting to see teams that are not going to make it are starting to fall away. We're at that 25 game mark now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just don't. I think that I think there's some good things are going to happen for Vancouver with the Boudreaux. I just feel those are going to be some good
I think
things.
it's good. I think they're going to
I
get
just
better. Yeah. I just
Yeah, I
I
think they're
don't
going to
think
get
it's a good
better.
idea. Don't get too much better. You need the draft pick now, but they don't think about it
Right.
that way. But I'm just saying, like for
No, I
so.
know.
Anyways, they're talking about Kaprizov being a superstar. I say borderline superstar. I mean, it depends on what you want to call a superstar, I guess. Who's a superstar in the league? McDavid, Draisaitl, Crosby still? Not really. Let's face it, right? We're getting to the point where Crosby is really not a superstar anymore. He was.
Well, he's still treated like one.
Yeah. Hedman.
You'd have to. I'd say you'd have to probably put Kucherov up there.
Kucherov. Yeah.
You'd still have to put Ovechkin.
Yeah. Ovechkin for sure. Superstar. Yeah.
Still have to put Ovechkin up there.
Vasilevsky. Superstar.
Yeah, gosh, you just can't deny that. You just can't deny that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know what
He's
I
the
mean?
best goaltender of this
Right?
generation right now, like the last
I
10 years.
agree.
So.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Can't deny that one at all. Um,
Austin Matthews. Austin Matthews. If he can get back rolling, he will. He'll get it. Borderline Marner. See, Marner and Kiprasov. What would Kiprasov do though if Kiprasov had Matthews as his center though? Maybe we do have a superstar here, really, because look what he's doing with the lineup that he has. I mean, he made Eriksson look fantastic. Like he makes the rest of the team. I
true.
think if you put Kiprasov with Matthews, all of a sudden he's putting up like eye-popping numbers. So yeah, he could be. He could be. He's a pretty fantastic player, that's for sure.
I mean, look, it's judged on guys that, obviously that make other guys around them better. I mean, at one point you could say, other players were at that level, but now they're falling away. You know what I mean? And so they're not at that level anymore now. So the next crop of players is coming up through. You know what I'm saying? And I like the next crop of players. They look really good.
Yeah.
Um, so
I don't think anybody really put like take a. I don't think anybody made the team around him better more noticeably, I guess. I shouldn't say more, because more noticeably to me than Crosby. I think Crosby really made the people. I don't think anybody did it more, including everybody in the room, everything. McDavid doesn't have that yet.
And you don't think Austin Matthews has that yet either?
I think he's got more of it than McDavid does.
Okay.
Yeah. I think
All right,
McDavid
I'll
hasn't
agree with
reached
you.
that point
I'll
yet.
agree.
I think Draisaitl has it more than McDavid does.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'll agree with that all day
I would
long.
say Draisaitl is the leader of that team right now, honestly.
Look, you all know that there's guys on the team that, just because you wear the C or the A doesn't necessarily mean you're the only person that gets a voice. Doesn't necessarily mean you're the only person that gets to speak up in the locker room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's all kinds of other guys that, are in the locker room that have a voice, that speak up, that are leaders in the locker room as well, too.
Well,
So,
Kiprusoff is playing with Hartman and Zuccarello right now. Like, is it any... Hartman's having a career year. Is that...
right.
right?
And so is Zuccarello.
Zuccarello went, yeah, close. He's certainly having a resurgent year, no doubt about that, at 34 years old. Pretty
right.
Good. So, yeah. You give him Matthews, he's got, 29 points in 24 games? Is Panarin a superstar, or is he just below a superstar? He had a 100-point season. I think you could put Kaprizov in the Panarin.
Yeah, I think you would. I think you have to.
I think you got to put him in the Panarin side of things. So,
yeah, you start getting up into the century mark in points for the season. That I'd have to say right now
superstar.
in today's NHL is a superstar.
I agree, and I think Kaprizov would if he had a guy like Matthews on his.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Panarin doesn't have a guy like Matthews either. He has he's made Zibanejad look really good for a while.
Yeah, I was just going to say Zibanejad is just. I'm not necessary. I think he's one of those guys that is a filler guy that's kind of playing and getting a chance to play well with the good players around him.
He's a guy that you add to the lineup. Very, very, very good. Definitely a number one center, but without Panarin, what would you do? Not much.
Exactly. And in fact, it showed when Panarin went out last year for an extended period of time where he had to deal with visa issues, where Panarin missed a significant amount of time, and Zibanejad just was not the same player.
No.
Was just not the same
So we'll
guy.
see what Panarin is Kaprizov has some young guys coming up like Rossi and stuff like that. There's been talk of them going after a guy like Miller, but I don't see it. The problem with Minnesota is that because of the Parise contract and Suter contract buyouts, next year they have no cap. So they really can't go out and get a guy that is huge on the books for next year. I think they're going to go with those, hope Rossi is okay and go from there.
They're going to have to, because their hands are tied financially.
Yeah, they will be tied for sure financially. Wow. So
what do you think, man?
Oh, McKinnon. McKinnon's a superstar, right? Don't forget about McKinnon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, and what's the other guy from Landeskog?
I wouldn't call him a superstar, though. He's not a superstar. He's a star.
Yeah.
But,
all right.
Rantanen,
he's a star, but I would put McKinnon.
Is a good example. Is he a superstar or not? I mean, he's come up to close to 100 points, but there's Rantanen, there's Huberdeau. What about Huberdeau?
Okay, but he's an up and comer. I like what
had a 100-point season.
Lauren.
Yeah.
Did he? Really? Last year?
Was it last year? No, the year before. Yeah, last.
Year before? Okay. I like what Lauren said, Stamkos and Braden Point. I would have to say that. I would agree with that. But Huberdeau, man, I'll tell you what. I've watched a lot of Florida games this year because I'm waiting for the Huberdeau no look spinorama pass
Yeah,
for the goal. Right, he did that twice last year. I've seen one attempt so far
yeah. He
this
doesn't have
year
Barkov right
from
now,
him.
so makes it tough.
Right, that's the other problem too.
Barkov.
So, but even still, look, this is something we haven't even touched on yet, and I think we should because I think it's kind of important. And we talked about this on our Off the Wall Hockey Show on Friday. The fact that the NHL stepped in for the Ottawa Senators when 10 players went down on the COVID list. But then the New York Islanders only had 8, and the NHL stepped in and
Oh, I can tell you why that is.
paused some games. Oh, well, we already know why that
Yeah.
is, right? Come on, it's
He
written
gets
all over the NHL's
he gets away
face.
with it. Like he gets away with everything. Lamoriello, like why does they just let him get away with everything? Is he got like something on everybody out there? Is he like connected to the mob or something? Like seriously, the guy gets away with everything. It's unbelievable, and nobody questions it. If Lamoriello says we're doing this, I don't know if it's the way he talks or whatever. If there's ever an advantage to get, Lamoriello gets it. No doubt about it.
Well, I'm not happy about that. And I think that is a severe bad look for the NHL that they allowed Ottawa to go to 10 players and then the Islanders only got to go to 7. So, just my two
The
cents there.
Islanders
I
had
just wanted to
7
mention
out. I
that.
guess they could make a case for the 7 that were there or whatever the case may be. I mean, the importance. How about the Oilers? They lose their whole left side of their defense, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, blew his business partners with the Sopranos or something. I don't know what the heck he does, but he gets a like. It's almost like with other general managers. Stevie Eiserman gave up a second round pick and took the full cap hit on frickin' Nick Leddy. Stevie Eiserman, one of the most brilliant minds to ever be in the game,
Wow.
dropped the ball that bad for Lamoriello? Like, what? There's no way. I don't like. He must say. This is what I think happens when Lamoriello calls people up. Yeah, Stevie. I don't know why his voice is like this. Because that's yeah, Stevie. I need to get rid of Letty. Well, Stevie's like
What you talking
Stevie
about?
Eiserman's like, why would I want Letty?
Why would I
I
want to do
think you
that?
want Letty. I think you.
No, I don't
I
want
think
Letty.
your family, and your family's family want Letty.
Oh, well, since you put it like that, okay.
Exactly. Guido, I was talking to Guido today, and he says you want Letty. You know, like what the heck is he going? I can't believe the crap he does.
Sure, we'll take Letty, no
He
problem.
gets the advantage of every trade. Like it doesn't matter. It's unbelievable. I don't.
I mean, look at how that whole situation went with the New Jersey Devils trade last year at the trade deadline with the Islanders. That was just sick. How that was taken. That whole trade deadline thing was done with especially with Anders Lee being out. And they had some space to play with. So
yeah. I don't understand what the Parise. I don't know. Parise Chara, old team makeup thing was, but I don't know. It was very weird moves.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I'll tell you what. What a crazy day in the NHL, and we have not talked about a single play,
No.
a single game, a single icing, a single save, a single pass, a single goal.
Oh yeah, that's common here in Pearl Wisdom Industries. I like I like the inner workings of the game as much as I like the game on the ice. The geriatric islanders.
Geriatric Islanders.
Yeah.
But that just goes to show you that we should be talking about the things that are happening on the ice, but there's too many things going on off the ice right now that are taking up the stories and
Even
taking up the
when I
time.
do talk about the team, like the games that are going to be tomorrow, we'll get into like the inner workings of each team and all that stuff like that. So like we probably what do we got, a half an hour? We could look at we looked at some of the games from Sunday night, the one and Saturday, the important ones. You know, like the Oilers. Oh yeah, we didn't get into that because a lot of guys were talking about that. We could talk about the Oilers really quick. Um, just the defense. That defense. I don't know how many times I got to say it. The defense is terrible. It's just absolutely terrible defense. They lose to the Kings 5-1. They did get nursed back, but I'm talking about a team that's not playing. When they don't play with pace, forget about it. Like they don't have a chance. They don't have a chance. When they get back on their heels even a little bit, they got nothing. I would take Philly's defense over Edmonton's defense all day.
All right, so let me see if I get this straight here now, okay? So you're complaining about a team that's 16-7-0 with 32 points, second in the
Yeah, just
Pacific.
wait. It's not over yet.
All
You
right,
just watch them
all right.
slip into.
I was just
I would take
checking.
Philadelphia's.
I,
They're doing that with a defense, man for man, that's worse than Philadelphia's. Just saying.
I mean, right now, I see Edmonton as probably in the top 10 ranked teams with a plus 16 goal differential, 32 points on the season.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, man. Now I will say this: and even their last 10 is winning 6-4-0.
Well, look at. There's no way the Oilers will beat the Wild tomorrow. Not a chance.
Okay.
Okay.
Look, when it comes to that kind of stuff, Perlo, dude, you're the master. Okay, if you whatever you say goes, because that's not my realm.
Not. I can't.
All I can do is tell you what I see.
Well, I'll tell you here in a second. Let's go over that real quick since we're talking, because they were talking in the chat about Edmonton and how they lost. Okay, so they beat a Pittsburgh team that they got totally outplayed at. Because they've got good first shooters like McDavid and Draisaitl. They'll get away with it, right? Pittsburgh totally outplayed them. Vegas totally outplayed them and they got away with it. They barely beat Arizona, and they really just turned it on in the third. Chicago is a team that you should always be beaten, especially with Lankinen in. Winnipeg couldn't score when they played them, and then they lost with them the first time, and then beat them on the back-to-back. And St. Louis and Edmonton had a little shootout play there. So like they're winning games that wait till they start playing the Minnesota Wilds, the Tampa Bay Lightnings, the Carolina Hurricanes. They haven't played any of these teams yet. Wait till they start doing it. Minnesota Wild, I believe, are going to absolutely destroy the Edmonton Oilers. Absolutely destroy them. It's not even going to be pretty. If the Edmonton Oilers play like I've seen them play most of the time, and they try to get by on their superior one-on-one talent like Draisaitl and McDavid in their power play, as long as the Wild don't stay out of the box and they play a possession game like they can play in the offensive zone for the Edmonton Oilers, those defensemen will be going around in circles that'll look like the freaking Harlem Globetrotters, man. It's going to be disgusting.
Okay, and then okay, so I see the other side of it where I see Edmonton has beaten Calgary twice now in the Battle of Alberta. I've seen that, they've beaten Vancouver pretty much most every time they've played them.
Vancouver.
Okay, right, I'm with you, right? So, they've pretty much handed Calgary pretty much any time they've taken care of business.
They played them twice
right?
so far.
They beat Anaheim. They beat Anaheim. They beat Arizona, right? They played and beat well against Vegas, right? This is the beginning of the season, right? They lose a stunner to the Flyers, but that was a joke, right? And then they beat up on Seattle. They beat up on Nashville. They lose in overtime, or they win in overtime against the Rangers. They lose to Detroit. They beat Boston handedly, right? Then they lose to Buffalo by 1 goal. Then they beat a St. Louis team in St. Louis, right? So I mean, I'm having a hard time here.
I watched all those games. They relied on Draisaitl and McDavid way too much. They were bailing them out.
Yeah.
They get down all the time. Once teams start figuring out the Oilers that all they got to do is pressure their defense all game long, you can dump and chase against the Oilers, and as long as you get to the puck first before them, they're done. They're done.
They're done.
And in the playoffs, look, that's what Winnipeg did last year is what's going to happen again, because just pass the puck to Barrie. Just pass it to him. If you got nothing you can do, just pass the puck to Barrie and wait for him to give it back to you. Like, he's that bad. He's that bad. He's terrible.
There you go.
He's like when what's his name was having at his worst in Philadelphia. Gosh, Despair.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
Barrie
okay.
all the time. So,
wow.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Wow. So, okay. Man, okay, until I see some of it, I haven't watched a lot of Edmonton games this year.
You're going to see it.
Okay.
Unless they do something differently, you're going to see it. Anyways, let's get to the games for tonight. Senators versus Devils. And what do you think about this New Jersey team right now? 9-4.
The Hughes signing is impressive.
Yeah, could be.
The fact that he missed some time. Mm-hmm. The fact that he missed some time at the beginning of the season hurt them, put them kind of more in a hole. I'll tell you what, I want to see this team next year, New Jersey. Because I think New Jersey is going to be one of those teams that's going to turn the corner.
I thought it was.
You're going to have. This year. I did too, but apparently that's not going to be the case. Then again, we could be wrong. There's still a lot of hockey left, man. You know what I mean? But when you're in a hole like that already, that's tough to climb out of.
They play too soft. That's the problem.
Yeah.
They got some big guys, but the big guys aren't heavy enough, don't play heavy enough, and their small guys are small. So,
I mean,
they don't really have anybody that plays a heavy game there. So.
No, I agree. And we all thought that New Jersey was going to take, that next step this year. But I'm with you. I don't see it happening this year. With Hughes missing a significant amount of time at the beginning of the season, and then that's put them in a hole. I think they're basically trying to play catch up now, where they're not going to be able to, that's kind of what I think is going on.
I think, well, we'll see, because, I mean, Hughes is when he stays healthy, he's a very impressive player. 70 to 80 point player probably in the league. Tonight, I mean, Ottawa, they play with heart, man. They play with heart. And Brady Tkachuk, I just freaking love that guy. It's all about Brady Tkachuk in Ottawa. But
Pretty
but I
much.
mean, they don't have enough scoring depth. They don't have enough. Their defensive depth is poor, and their goaltending is poor. So
So
that's a lot
yeah,
of poor.
I think we're leaning New Jersey on this one. What do you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, but I think with a lot of people in the chat here, we all would say that there's something about Ottawa that makes you want to not want to take the other team, especially a soft team like Minnesota,
Right. You're
because
right.
they're gonna go in and they're gonna beat you silly. If you're not gonna like, they may lose, but you're gonna be black and blue by the end of it. That's
Yeah, yeah. See,
And
that's it.
that's what Philly
Exactly.
needs. That's the Philly team I
I
love.
agree.
That's the team. That's the
That's what
type
we
of
need.
hockey I love. That's why I'm a
Hmm.
huge fan of Brady Tkachuk. And I'll be the first one to admit
Trust
that
me.
when he got bit, remember when he got bit by Lemieux, and
Like
everybody's
like
like,
father, like
everybody
son.
says that. Well, people say that oh, Lemieux bit him or something like that. It's like, you know what? I am sure Brady deserved it. I am positive of it. Brady
So I
did.
went back and
Brady
looked,
did what
right? I went
something for sure.
yeah.
Said whatever or whatever. Guaranteed.
I went back and looked and his dad got suspended or nailed for doing the same thing.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you. I'll tell you this. I bet you any amount of money, Brady and Matthew bit each other more than 10 times. If
Okay.
playing with each other when you're fighting, when you're brothers and stuff like that, you don't think that happened? I'm sure they did. But it was an immature move, bad move, terrible move. He deserves a
I
5 game
never
suspension. You can't do that. I'm not promoting it at all, but I
no,
am
no, no, no.
sure
But look, I
Brady
had a
Brady
stepbrother.
deserved.
I had a stepbrother who was 1 year younger than me, and I never bit him. He never bit me.
Well,
I mean, I had to put him down a
could
couple
you
times, but
imagine? Could you imagine the fights between Matthew and Brady though?
yeah,
Holy
right.
crap,
Those are
dude!
probably pretty knockdown, drag
Oh
out
yeah,
ones.
and that was just for fun. Uh, so, anyways, yeah, I think so. New Jersey. The problem is Ottawa has poor goaltending. Blackwood has been. I think he's going to be in net. Blackwood. I'm going to go New Jersey here, but I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
like jumping for joy about it.
Yeah, right. Like it's a reluctant, like, oh
They're at home.
gosh, it's
Hughes is
Ottawa
back.
against New
Yeah.
Jersey. I just don't want to pick the other team.
Ottawa,
All right, if I have to pick New Jersey, all
Ottawa
right, I'll
beat
pick New
Colorado
Jersey.
because they had no goaltending. Like for the most part, they come up with some. They don't have the skill to beat too many teams, and so with that
Yeah.
in mind, I'm gonna lean to New Jersey here. What do you guys got in the chat there? Uh,
Yeah, I'd have to say New Jersey on that one as well, too.
yeah, I'm gonna put New Jersey. Okay. What was I was gonna look at something, but I can't remember what it was now.
And I think we also know how we're going to
Oh, I lost it.
swing for the Colorado Philadelphia game. Good grief.
Oh yeah.
I had a friend of
I was
mine. I
actually
had a friend.
thinking because Yo was in there, he'd get these guys all hyped up and everything, and I think they'll come out
But
strong.
Colorado's got guys coming
But
back,
then
so
Kadri
probably
and
not.
Makar are going to be in. The only thing they got is this Justus Anunin kid that probably shouldn't be playing in the NHL right now. If they can get enough
Yeah,
shots
well,
at him, they could have a chance. But the problem is they're Philadelphia is going with Martin Jones, who had a good game or two to start off with, but it's right back to the Martin Jones we all knew and didn't like in San Jose. So.
and what do you know? Another bad decision made in Philadelphia that's proven to be not good once again. Um, uh, I'm I'm not even expecting Philadelphia to be anything worthy of even discussing for maybe the next 4 or 5 years.
I hope
To
you're
be honest
wrong,
with you.
but there's going to have to be some. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean,
I
what
hope
poor
I'm wrong
Ellis
too.
comes over from Nashville thinking, oh, we're going to change the energy and we're going to go.
Yeah,
Oh
right.
no.
Same thing with
What
Cam
did I
Atkinson too,
do?
right?
Oh my gosh.
And could you imagine Sean Couturier, right?
Yeah.
I just signed a
There
new
it is. There
deal.
it is.
Oh my gosh. No.
Yeah.
Hey guys, can I erase that name? It doesn't kick in till next season anyway,
Is that
right?
all right? Okay. So next game we got
Anaheim at Washington.
yeah, Anaheim at Washington,
Wow.
and I got Anaheim to keep it close. Washington is without Hathaway. They got that roster shouldn't be doing as good.
I know.
Yeah, that roster shouldn't be doing as good as it is right now.
Yeah, and now especially with Anaheim now with Getzlaf being put on the IR because
Oh,
Anaheim played really well out coming out of the
yeah,
gates,
but I'm talking
and
about
they
Washington. That roster shouldn't be doing as good as this. I don't think. I think it's yeah. I
really.
mean, like, what do they got? Let me pull it up. I know you got
It's
Ovechkin,
true,
but I mean, if you go down the
true.
lineup,
They've missed Oshie's missed significant time,
Oshie's been out a lot.
right?
Uh,
Uh, now their other guy, what's his name? Manta that they just traded
yeah,
for from last year. He's out,
yeah. Stevie Eisman saw
right?
that one coming.
Yeah,
Got
no kidding.
freaking Ferrana for him, who's injured as well, by the way. But Oshie is in tonight. Okay, maybe Oshie's back. Oshie.
I still like how Anaheim has been playing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been really impressed with how Anaheim's been playing, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't have a problem picking Anaheim against Washington, but now that I know that Oshie's back in and Getzlaf is now on the IR, and I just think Washington's going to be too much.
Washington at home. They're
Yeah.
tough to beat at home. I could see Anaheim
Hmm.
doing it because they're
I can
playing with an
too.
incredible energy. I didn't know Oshie was back though.
Right. So I think that swings things more in
Seems
Washington's
it
favor than it
seems
does
like a
for
close game. I kind of
Ben.
like Anaheim to lose by one possibly or something like that. But
You know
I think
what
it's a
though?
close game
Um, I
because Gibson
I
Gibson is
agree. I
playing
would not.
fantastic. Samsonov's playing good for Washington.
Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, Torrey Terry is another
Oh yeah,
reason why Anaheim has
Torrey
been
Terry's playing
so
fantastic.
amazing
Yeah,
this year. And Gibson playing in goal has been amazing. I mean, look, I'm not taking anything away from Anaheim. I think this might be one of those games to watch.
oh yeah. I'll
Because
be
I think it's
watching
going to
this
be
one for sure.
close. Yeah, I think it's going to be close, like 3-4, 4-5, something stupid like that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. See, the Washington's been playing very, very good defense as of late. So, but I can't really go with the score because Anaheim, they play to score, and Washington's been playing very
Right,
well
that's what I mean.
defensively.
It's going to be 3-4,
But the
four to
problem is you
five.
got Gibson and Samsonov. Gibson is so it's really difficult to say. 3-2. Somebody said sounds about right to me. A 3-2 game, something like
Okay, that still is a
that.
close game,
Yeah.
right? It's just the same as close as five to
Yeah, but
four.
I just don't think that many goals could be scored because of the goaltending. That's all. That's all.
Okay,
Doesn't matter.
all right,
But
all right. I
5-4,
got
yeah,
you.
close game
Okay,
though. I agree. Uh,
close game. Yeah, yeah, yeah. This one here, I don't even know, man. Arizona and Dallas.
oh,
Oh,
it's Dallas has got to win that. I mean, Dallas has been playing really
they
well as of late, and they haven't
have.
allowed. I was looking this up today. They haven't allowed more than 2 goals for like 6 or 7 games and nine
In a
and
row.
yeah, 6 in a row, and nine of the last 10. I think they haven't. I got to look it up here, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
They're 8-2-0 in the last 10. They've won 6 in a row, so they are one of the hottest
Yeah,
teams out there.
yeah.
Right? So Minnesota, the Rangers, and hold on, I'll tell you here in just a sec. The Rangers, Minnesota, Dallas, all have won 6 in a row. Okay, New York Rangers 9-1-0 in their last 10. Minnesota is 7-2-1, and Dallas is 8-2-0.
Yeah, 8-2-0. Yeah, and they haven't allowed more than 2 goals, or only one time in 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. One time in 9 games they've allowed more than 2 goals, and Arizona isn't. They're not known for their offense. I think only 2 or 3 times this year they've scored more than 2 goals. So,
I mean, they're about as paltry as the Flyers are when it comes to offense.
Worse. They are the lowest offense in the league by far.
So they're scoring less than 1.28 goals a game.
Yeah, probably. Like I said, it's only been 2 or 3 times that they scored more than, I don't know, I'd have to look it up, but maybe Philadelphia is worse than Arizona. That's incredible.
Wait, correction. I did the math wrong. It's 1.48 goals a game for Philadelphia.
Sure Arizona's lower than that.
Well, they would have to be because
Arizona. So I'm taking Dallas. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that goes without saying. We're taking Dallas on this one. Look, I'm not taking anything away from Arizona's effort.
Oh yeah, they can outwork you.
They have played well.
They can outwork you. Yeah, for sure.
Right? They have come out and played well
for what they have in their roster. They've overachieved, really. Yeah. Agreed. Even though they've only won 5 games, so that tells you how bad their roster is. But next,
that would be putting it mildly. I would think. Good gravy.
He's looking like a really good coach, man. He's doing good things in there. All right, so we got 2 more games. Seattle and Pittsburgh, and this is actually a lot tougher than Seattle. I think is on a 2 or 3 game winning streak. Pittsburgh has been on the road for quite a while, and I still haven't seen who they're. If it's Jari though, I think I got to go Pittsburgh here. They're too savvy of a team to lose to this team. I think they're too savvy of a team to lose to Seattle, and that's the big thing about Pittsburgh. That's the word I would use for them. Is they're so savvy. They always know how to find a way to win in every situation. But I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch. What do you think? You hate picking Pittsburgh. That's the problem. They've won. Oh shoot! Look at Seattle has had. They beat a Washington team who was in a similar spot here as Pittsburgh, except this was their 5th game on the road on a back-to-back. So they were beat.
Yeah.
Carolina too. They keep on doing this. They get the last game of the Western road trip all the time. They got it with Carolina. They got it with Washington.
Yeah.
No, Florida was a big one because they were actually on the road for that game. And then I think then they beat Buffalo. So they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They've won 5 of the last 7 games. They're hot.
I have to go with Pittsburgh. I would much rather pick Seattle because that's who my been playing better as of late. I mean, they beat Washington the other night, but I just don't think they have enough team, even with. Now I think now Malkin is skating.
Wait a second.
But
they said that DeSmith is in. If DeSmith is in, I'm not taking Pittsburgh. No way.
Oh, DeSmith is playing. Oh, then
Seattle. Might as well take Seattle. That guy can't stop a puck to save his life.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That does change things. I think big time. For me as well. I would have to go Seattle on that then too. If it was Jari, then I think
it'll be a high-scoring game. If DeSmith is in, Casey.
Who's in? Who is in for Seattle?
Grubauer.
Yeah, that's gonna be yeah. I'd have to go with Seattle on that one.
Now I do, yeah. But Casey DeSmith, he's 4.32 and a .867. That's what his numbers are in 4 games. That's brutal. Brutal,
Glad I
brutal.
don't have to pick him every night.
Yeah. So,
Right.
anyways, that changed that real quick.
Yeah,
That's why
right.
you
That
always
was
got to
easy.
wait for the goalie confirmations. Cause,
That's right, Seattle. So we both picked Seattle on that one.
okay.
All right.
Oh, and it's the Kings and Canucks. Kings on a back to back. They just beat the Oilers last night easily. Uh, but still, it's a back to back. And then, of course, the coaching change. So, what do you think? What happens here with the coaching change? You got
Well, historically, coaching changes usually result in the coach that coaches the team that first night usually wins that game. Historically, there's been a couple of times when that hasn't been the case. You know what I mean? So I don't think that's going to be the case tonight.
King. When King took over
I
for Chicago, I believe the first game he lost.
yeah,
I think it
and
really depends on the
I
team.
also think too when Dude took over for in Montreal,
Ducharme.
uh,
Yeah, they
Ducharme,
won.
he lost his
Did he
first
lose
game.
it? Okay.
I think he lost his first game
Yeah, I
too.
don't think
But
Yo's gonna win his first game tonight.
historically though, um, teams usually win that first game with the new
Yeah.
coach. You know what I mean? And so, but I just don't see
Oh,
that.
really?
Not tonight. I just don't see Vancouver doing it
Oh,
tonight.
really? I think I'm taking the Canucks
Yeah.
myself.
I like LA. I like what LA has
Oh,
been doing.
I
I
like it
like their
too.
game.
I like it too. I just on a back to back, the different the
I know,
energy.
but see they beat
Like I
Edmonton.
said, that's you're gonna find out real soon. That wasn't as big of a chore as you think it is.
Well, so then like I said, if they go in there and they beat Edmonton and now they're going into Vancouver, I think this is going to be a good test for them, but I think they're going to
See,
prevail.
they were in Edmonton. This is what I think something that has to be taken into consideration here. They played in Edmonton, right?
Yeah.
Then they traveled last night to Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Two
Mm-hmm.
hour time difference. So I got to go Vancouver. If they can't win if you can't win against just about any team that has had to fly and get a 2 hour time difference, like that's have you ever that changes the body. It's tired. It's especially after playing a game like
It
that.
is. It does. I know. I've done it. I've flown like that, but
You still going LA? Wow, that to me that's a
yeah, I'm
big drop
still
the
going
ball.
LA.
That's a big drop the ball for Vancouver if they lose that game right away after a coaching change and all that kind of stuff like that. You would have to figure that they would get their butt moving pretty
I
good
know.
here, but
I know. But
Bruce is going to go tell them to go have fun. I agree with you, Denny Barlow. That's exactly what's going to happen.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. 100%. He's going to tell him to go have fun. You would be a fool not to, but like I said, man, I for whatever reason, I just think the Kings are going to prevail.
Well, you could be right because I mean they are playing tough. They haven't won a lot of games, but they've lost. Last night, I was thinking. I think they're the most in the league for 1 goal game losses.
Who, the
Yeah,
Kings?
they losing by one,
Yeah, that might be right. They're 10, 9, and
losing by
4.
1 goal. Like it's
Yeah.
1 goal either way.
Yeah, right. That's hardcore.
It'll be.
So
It's going to be.
that means you're
It's
not
going to
that
be
bad,
Peterson, and they're not playing quick back to back. So, and that's the other thing. Peterson hasn't
right?
been strong this year. Demko is a beast. He has nothing to do with how bad that record is in Vancouver. If it wasn't for him,
I
they'd
agree.
be like, right probably below, just above Arizona, maybe like that. That's how bad they would be.
No, I'm with you. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you 100% on that one for sure. Wow, man. Pearlo, buddy, I got to tell you something, man. I miss doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. So how did you work today or what do you?
Uh, so what happened over the last, especially over like Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, happens over the final Thursday of the month, and my job, I was off Thursday and Friday. I went to Philly. I went to go watch the Flyers get their butts kicked by Carolina Hurricanes
Yeah.
6-3. I come back home, and then that's when I stepped into the big giant pile of doo-doo that was waiting for me at work.
Oh.
So I basically spent all of Saturday night deep into the morning, and then all of last week dealing with issues at work.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I said to my boss, I said, I am taking a couple hours because I had to go. The fan in my bathroom ceiling, the light and the fan blew out last
Mm-hmm.
week. So I had to order the parts for it, and they came in on Friday, but because of having to work, I couldn't go get them while the place was open. And they're not open on the weekend, so I can't do it on the weekend. Right. So I had to wait till today. So that's why I did today and took some time today and just went to the hardware store, got the fan, put the fan up, hooked the light up. Everything works now. I'm good. So
Right on.
I'm with you, Denny. I am not a fan of Yo either. I was not a fan of that whole reason why they brought all those guys in there.
In fairness to
Um,
Yo, he's came in as a pretty young coach right off the get go. And he didn't really have all that much experience. So if you look at it in perspective, I think he did very well considering how young of a coach he was. And
okay.
maybe it's been a while. He's been an assistant now. He's had more time to grow into a few things, learn from a few different people and stuff like that. It's possible that he's more complex of a coach than he was before because before he was pretty much um, a very good uh, motivator, extremely good
Right.
motivation coach, and always will be. He's a great motivator. The thing is learning to work with veterans, young players. You got other coaches out there that do X's and O's better than you, line up matches and all that stuff like that. He had to learn all that. So we'll see what he's
Exactly.
going to be now that he's gotten that opportunity. That's what I say about Hextall and Hines. You know, Hextall had never coached in the NHL before. You know, he came right out of college and he's just trying to
Yep.
figure it out, which was why it was a bad idea for them to hire them in that situation. But well, whatever. We can't talk about that right now.
Hey man, I sit here with my tongue
Right.
bitten in half and
Yeah,
bloody.
it's not that Hackstall was a bad coach. It's just that's not the spot to be hiring that coach out of college who doesn't have. When you got a veteran team, anyways can't talk about it. We've already talked about it so many times before, and it was where he is now is much better because he's got room to grow there in Seattle. Like they don't need to win today.
True for Hackstall, but same thing with Yo. But see, that's a problem though. That Philadelphia Flyers team is such a hot win now. You got to win now. There's so much pressure there that, so I don't know. We'll see
Yeah,
how
we'll
it
see.
goes. I guess we'll find
Yeah,
out.
I mean, I'll give Yo a chance. He did do a, he moved, he did take a St. Louis team very far right away when he took over for Hitchcock, and when he took over for Boudreaux, Minnesota went on a
Yeah,
run too. It's just a case of learning how to deepen your abilities as a coach to be able to continue to have that team do that. And
exactly.
anyways,
Exactly.
that's our full 42, I guess, right?
How about that?
Yeah.
Man, this was great, dude. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm glad I got to come on here and chat it up with everybody in the chat. Pearlo, you do such great work here at the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. We really appreciate that. Can't thank you enough for everything that you do, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much,
Yeah, for
Pearlo.
sure. And can you stick around? I'll talk to you. I got to talk to you for a second. You guys out there,
You got it.
thank Denny, Swerve, uh, Lauren, Doug, all of you guys.
Doug.
Here all the time. They'll always be.
Thank you.
Like the originals. You know what I mean? Like they'll be in the Pearlo Hall of Fame forever. They'll always be the original
There you
cast.
go. CL, we saw CL was here too for a little while.
CL, for sure.
Kyle Mercer, I saw, jumped in for a sec.
Yeah, Mercer's been busy the
right?
last
So,
while, okay,
yeah.
guys.
But thanks everybody for
Have
hopping
a good
in.
one. We will talk to you tomorrow when I believe Projo will be with us.
Yes.
That's my full 42. That's yours as well. Have a great day, everybody. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye.